All right, everybody, we're going to be jumping into basic motorcycle operation and familiarization. Now, this is something that you're going to be doing when you go to the MSF, or honestly, if you ever just want to start riding a motorcycle, you need to know what the bike is before you can actually start utilizing it to get from point A to point B. So how to operate it, just like driving a car, just like playing a new sport or a brand new game, you learn the rules, you learn like where the pieces move. In bowling, you learn, you have the ball, you have the lane, you have to knock down 10 pins, what the order is. And that's what you know, but then actually how to play, you start off pretty bad, you get better and better and better and better. And that's kind of what we're doing here. We're trying to figure out what the bowling ball and the lanes and the pins are, and then we're gonna jump into actually riding the motorcycle and getting better and better and better. So let's go ahead and jump into that.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and learn the motorcycle piece by piece. I got that camera, this camera, so you can see everything. And this is just to get you familiarized. Now, like I said, it's just like bowling, just like starting a new game. You have to know the rules. You have to kind of know what things are. So I like to do everything with full gear on because I like to practice how I preach. And, I always ride with full gear. So if you do have full gear, it's a good idea to practice. And I'm doing it here at the apartment complex. Now, you probably have a new bike. It was delivered to you. You don't know how to ride yet. Maybe you don't even have your permit yet. Hopefully, you go get your permit. It's just the written part in some areas. But we're going to go ahead and practice basically just staying in this parking spot. I got my overhang, so if you're in a garage, you can do it in the garage. Make sure you have the garage open because you might have exhaust and you don't want to suffocate there. But driveway, maybe right in front of your house on the street. We're not riding anywhere. We're just learning the actual systems here and understanding. I got my rock form mount with my phone so I could see what everything's happening here. But we're going to go ahead and just jump into it. So we're going to have to learn the parts of the motorcycle. So we talk about primary controls. We talk about secondary controls. These are all terms you're going to utilize in the MSF. So let's just go over those key terms here. So primary controls, what are they? You have your throttle right here. This is going to be on the right side, so it's going to be that whole throttle thing. This is going to give the bike power. You have a front brake lever on the right side. That's going to control your front brake on your tire on the front. That's going to give you a lot of power in braking. This is when I say progressive braking later on. You're using a lot of that front hand doing that. On the left side, this hand grip, this is a hand grip, but it's a throttle, but this hand grip itself does not move. It should not move. So if it does, you might need to repair it. So it should not move. So that's going to be a key indicator of what's different on both sides. The front lever over here on the left-hand side, that is called the clutch lever. The clutch lever goes all the way. The front brake lever gives you a lot of resistance because it's trying to brake. So the clutch lever will go all the way, and that's going to engage and disengage the power to the rear wheel. So you can give this a ton of power, and we got FedEx, this is part of the deal here. You can give it a ton of power, but then if you pull the clutch lever, none of that power will go to the rear wheel. So if you ever run into a situation, you're like, oh crap, squeeze that front lever, and it'll remove all power to that rear wheel no matter what. So that's really important. That's a safety thing. So if you ever get out of control, squeeze that front lever all the way. And if you're going to crash into something, give it some front brake pressure, which we'll talk about later. So primary controls, like I said, let's go over it real quick. We have the throttle, the front brake lever. We have the clutch lever. The handlebars, to me, are a primary control because you need it to turn. And then let's go ahead and move down to here. We have the shift lever on the left foot. The shift lever is going to go down 1 for first gear, and then it's like a half click up for neutral, another half click for second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Those second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth is going to be a full click. You'll feel it when you start doing it, so we'll go ahead and move off on that one. We're going to go around the bike, and we have the rear brake lever on the right foot. So if you are a car driver going into motorcycling, it's going to be very natural for you to slam that rear brake because you're used to using your right foot to apply the brakes on the car. So be careful with that one because it only applies about 20-30% power. You really want to utilize that front brake most of the time. If you can do both, that's great. But as a beginner, we're going to focus really on that front brake, and then we'll use some rear brake when we get a little more confident with that. So those are the primary controls. Once again, throttle, front brake. We have our clutch lever. We have our handlebars. We have our shift lever on the left side. And we have our rear brake on the right side. Primary controls. Secondary controls are going to be everything else basically. So usually you're going to have a bunch of buttons or very minimal buttons depending on the model motorcycle you get. This is a Honda Rebel 500. So what I have here is the engine cutoff switch. Now this is going to be something just like the key where you use your thumb and it'll shut off the engine, the power to the engine. The battery will still stay on, but that will shut off power, and that's good for when you're parking and you don't want to reach over or wherever your key is at. You could just stop and park, shut off the engine, and then you can side stand down and then turn off the battery with the key. We have our hazard lights right here. This is the electric start. So once you turn the key on and you're ready to go, everything is doing its checks, you can click this button right here and start the actual bike. Okay. So right here we have high beams and low beams. So these are your passing. This says pass right there. So you can actually click that sometimes on some models and it'll just flash the high beams. But these are your high beams and low beams button. You have your electric horn. Some horns are pneumatic, so air, but most bikes have an electric horn. Right now it's not doing anything because the bike's not on. We have right here our turn signals. Okay, some turn signals, they auto cancel when you actually finish a turn, like in a car. But sometimes, and most times with the motorcycles, is that when you turn left, it will stay on the whole time. So sometimes you have to push it in to cancel. So turn right, push it in to cancel. That's pretty much the system right there. So now what we're going to be doing is actually turning on the bike. So we just familiarize ourselves with the primary and secondary controls. Now we're going to turn on the bike. And once again, we're in a neighborhood and it's about 3 p.m. here, so nobody's really out and about. So I'm not going to hopefully bother anybody because it's not loud either way. So right here is the key for the Honda Rebel. This is where it goes. So you just put it in and you turn it and everything. Sometimes it's right in the middle of the stem right here in the motorcycle. So find out where you put your key. So just like a car, if you have an older car, not a key fob, you just turn it. And what happens is that it starts up the process when it comes to the motorcycle. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it back off. So that there's nothing here, I'm going to turn it back on. And it's going to go ahead and do the reboot process just like in a car. So right now it's showing that it's neutral. We have a neutral green light. That is important to understand and know. We have the engine oil and ABS right here. So that engine oil will kick off once I start the bike itself. Like I said, here's the shut off switch and everything. So even if it's off and I try to do this, it won't work. It'll only turn on. It's doing the checks again if I do that. And it's on right here. Okay, so we turned on the bike. Now what I like to do, and this is a good habit for you to do, is once you have the battery on, you check and make sure you have your running lights right here. Those work pretty well. Let's make sure my headlight is on. Headlight is on. I have my turn signal running lights on. And I'm going to just do a quick check. You don't have to do this every time. I just want to show you guys what it looks like. So when I have it turning left, there's the left indicator. Does the left indicator work? Yes, it does. Left indicator work? Yes, it does. Let's go ahead and practice pushing it in. It cancels there, cancels, cancels. So I'm just showing you what the primary controls look like too. So I'm turning right, turning right, turning right. Very cool. So once again, practicing pushing it in, cancels it. So here's the hazards. I pushed it in, it stays on. Hazards are working. Hazards are working. We're just playing with the controls themselves. We're not really just doing a pre-ride check. We're just doing the controls to show you. Here's the horn. It makes a little noise, not a big deal. Let's go ahead and do the high beams. So there's the indicator for the high beams. It's blue. And now all 4 of the LEDs are on. So if I go ahead and turn it off, only 2 of them. Okay. And let's go ahead and double check the pass button too. So I click it down for my bike. So some motorcycles have cruise control, some motorcycles have traction control, different modules. You can play with the buttons right here. You can change your trip meter and everything. You know, average 51.7 miles per gallon, all that stuff. This is a lot of fun. Now what you don't want to do is leave your battery on the whole time. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn it off real quick. Because now what we're going to do, and I've been showing you briefly how to mount the motorcycle. So what we're going to do next, now that we kind of got an idea of where all the controls are, once again, real quick, throttle, front brake, clutch lever, shift lever, rear brake. Let's go ahead and turn on the motorcycle. Now this is going to be a little scary at start, you know, you've never really done it. You're scared it might fly off and everything. So what we're going to make sure that's going to happen is that we're going to be in neutral. Okay, so if you've only driven automatic cars, there really is no neutral. Unless you put it in neutral. So with a manual transmission, you have to actually put it in gear. One of the main things that it wants to stay in is neutral. So we're going to go ahead and turn on the bike real quick. And what I mentioned earlier is that green light indicates that it's neutral. Now, if you're if you got an older motorcycle, or there's a short in the circuits somewhere, sometimes that green neutral won't pop up even though you are in neutral. So I don't really trust neutral too much, that green light. I do like that it does have a gear indicator on the bike itself, but still, I don't trust it. And one way you can verify it in an analog, I guess, way, or a physical way, is I'm going to go ahead and squeeze this front brake. I'm going to lift it off its side stand. And right now it won't work. It won't move because of the front brake. But if I let go of the front brake, it should be able to move. Now, that's important. Okay, so if it was in first gear, I'm just going to pop it in first gear real quick. You notice the green light's off. It says it's in first gear. If I lift it up, no front brake, it gets stuck. It gets stuck. So that's really important. I'm going to do a half click up right now. There it is in neutral. And that's important when you park on a hill. I like parking in first gear. Maybe some people they can't just roll it away. They might, if they don't know anything about motorcycles, they get stuck in like, what's going on? So, I don't know. So here we go. So we're in neutral. I verified it's in neutral. Let's go ahead and verify it one more time. Yep, it's in neutral. You don't have to do this every time, but I like to show you. So we're in neutral. I'm going to go ahead and squeeze the front brake. I'm going to swing my leg over and sit. Now I'm on the side stand still. It's kind of leaned over a little bit. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the front brake, hand the handlebars, the one that doesn't move on the left, sit it straight up. Okay, now I'm sitting here. My feet are kind of keeping it planted. Feel pretty comfortable. Now what I'm going to do is lift my side stand up. That's that thing that was on the side, that like a kickstand on a bicycle. Use my heel, lift it up. Very good. So you can also test if it's a neutral by doing it this way, just sitting on the bike. So before you take off, kind of double check. Once again, if it's in first gear, it's going to get stuck. It's not going anywhere. Okay, let's go ahead and get it into neutral. Half click up. There it is in neutral. Now, since we're in neutral, it won't take off when we start the bike. Definitely some of the newer ones won't take off if you have the side stand down in first gear. But you see a lot of people freak out when you take off in first gear, because then it really launches you a little bit, okay? Especially if you dump the clutch out. That's, you see those whiskey throttle people. So I'm going to show you what it looks like starting it up in neutral right now. I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to turn it back on. Battery is starting everything. Engine shutoff is off. Engine shutoff is on. And I'm going to go ahead and squeeze in the clutch. I'm not going to twist the throttle to give it gas, and I'm going to hit this electric start. So now the bike is on. Now I double check again, and you're going to do this quickly. You don't have to do it slowly every single time. You just get used to it to the point where you're in and out real quick. So I'm going to slowly release the clutch lever, because remember, when you squeeze the clutch lever, no power goes to the rear wheel. Hey, look, it's all the way out. I'm in neutral. It's a real neutral. Now, what does it look like when you stall? This is a pretty scary thing. So I'm going to show you. It's not usually a big deal. That's why you always have your hands on the handlebars. You don't just sit back here and go boop, and then you just like give it throttle, whatever. You don't do that. I'm going to go ahead and put it in first gear, clutch in, and I'm just going to let it out super quick. We're going to talk about friction zone, how to get going right after this, but this is what happens when you let it out super quick. That's it. And remember, it's in first gear, so it doesn't want to roll anymore. So it's not like you do that and then the bike's going to take off, or you do that and the bike's going to keep rolling and you're going to have to like try to figure things out. No, it's stalled. It's stuck right here, just like if it was in first gear trying to move it. So we're going to go ahead and put it in neutral again. And we're going to go ahead and turn off the bike. And we're going to go ahead and squeeze the front brake lever. We're going to go ahead and put the side stand down, set it on the side stand. It feels secure. I'm going to swing my leg back over, and I'm going to get off the bike. So that is how you start it and stop it. So we went over what all the controls are, how to start and stop it. That's going to be the easiest thing that we're going to do. Okay, this is something you can do in your apartment complex, or in your driveway, or in your garage. You obviously don't want to be in the garage with enclosed space, the garage door down with the engine going, but this is something that you're going to need to know. So this is like the tutorial intro to bowling and to playing pool, to playing darts, playing that new game. It's like, now you know how the machine works, but how to get from point A to point point B, or how to ride around in traffic, that's where it starts getting a little tricky and where a lot of strategy starts to happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to move into friction zone and braking, because those are huge things. Remember, friction zone is going to be the clutch, and the braking, obviously the front brake. That's what we're going to practice right now. We'll practice the rear brake when we start riding around. But that's going to get you from point A to point B, which is going to be the end of this little parking spot. That's the whole point. Point A here, point B right there. That's it. So let's go ahead and jump into that one. All right, so what we're going to be doing is friction zone and braking practice. This is like the very intro. We're not even exiting my parking space here. That's not the goal. Now, if you go too far, what do? We pull in the clutch, and we apply a little bit of brakes, and we stop, and then we move the bike back. So not a big deal. Obviously, you want to watch out if there's any traffic, but we're not going to exit this parking space. So we're going to be playing around with the clutch lever and friction zone. So what friction zone is right now it's fully open. So this clutch is all the way open. So that's when we're out riding, we're having fun. But friction zone is when we start to move from zero. So you pull in the clutch all the way, and you slowly release it to the point where the bike is starting to get power, because remember, this takes away power if it's pulled in all the way. So you're going to put it about halfway, and the bike's going to start to move. And then when you want to take off, you do let it out and give it throttle, but that's not what we're practicing here. We're just going to practice getting it to halfway, squeezing it in. Getting it to halfway-ish, squeezing it in. Now over here on the right side, what we're trying to do here is all we're doing is squeezing it gently. Now with our hand over it like this, let's go ahead and do this. With our hand over it like this, we're just squeezing it gently and gently. We're not going to give it throttle right now, okay? So don't worry about that. Just kind of cover the brakes like this so that you can squeeze it gently and gently. So we're going to go ahead and pull it in, let it out halfway. We're going to start to move a little bit. We're going to squeeze it all the way in, and then we're going to squeeze this gently. And then we're going to walk ourselves back. So what we're doing is called paddle walking, and I know you can't see me very well. That's perfectly fine. I want you to see this. I want you to focus on this right here, okay? So just like we did earlier, we're going to go ahead and turn on the bike, start it up, swing our leg over, and sit it up. Side stand up, just like that, and our feet are here. Now, we're just going to paddle walk like we're ducks, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm in neutral, hands on the handlebars, squeezing the clutch, start up the bike. Now, if I let it out all the way when it's in neutral, nothing happens. And this is going to be the difference when it comes to putting it in first gear. So I'm going to go ahead, and this is also teaching you shifting into first gear. I want you to be very clear. I want to be very clear about that and be aware of it, is that we're going to pull in the clutch all the way, and we're going to get our shift lever and press it down once. And you feel a click. We're in first gear. And once again, if I let it go accidentally too much, it's going to stall like that. And now how do you get out of that? You squeeze in the squeeze in the clutch, and you can start it right back up. Okay, now we're right back into it. And that's what you do at a stoplight if you stall. Pull it back in, start it up, and then get going. It's embarrassing. I've done it a few times. Okay, we're in first gear. Everything is good. Feet are planted. Okay, no throttle. And once again, I want you guys to see this. My clutch is all the way in, and I mentioned it earlier, but if I give it throttle with the clutch all the way in first gear, I'm not going anywhere. You're just going to rev it up, and that's a rev bomb. People like to do that. I don't care about it. So nothing's going to happen. You're not going to move. So if you ever get in an emergency situation, pull in the clutch. All right, so what we're going to do is cover those front brakes like I said. We're not going to give it throttle. I'm going to go ahead and slowly release. I'm going to do this. I want you to have all fingers. I'm going to do this so you can see it. I'm going to slowly release, and the bike's going to start to want to go. And all I'm doing is doing this, just paddle walking. I'm going to squeeze it all the way in, and it's not going where. I didn't use any brakes. I want to show you this the first time. No brakes, and now I'm going to go ahead and walk it back. Now, if that's too much, let's do a beginner version of that. So we're just going to put our feet like this, kind of forward a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and let it out. I'm going to do this again, let it out. And until my foot goes flat, I pull in the clutch. And I just go back on my heel. Foot goes flat. Let's see. Pull it in. And what I want you to figure out on this part I'm going to do this again with my fingers, is that the moment it starts to catch, that's friction zone. The moment it starts to catch, that's friction zone. So right there, I start to move. Now, every bike is a little different. So if you ever get a new bike, let's go ahead and put it in neutral so I'm not holding in the clutch. If you ever get a new bike, it's going to be different. So if you're doing a demo ride, you're practicing on different bikes, you have a friend that wants you to ride his bike, all those things, it's going to be different. So whenever you get on a new bike, find where that friction zone is. Always do that, okay? So we're going to go ahead and put it back into first. There it is. So we're going to go ahead and do this a little bit more. Now we've been practicing friction zone. It's like I'm going to go a little bit further. In my parking space, I'm going to squeeze this front brake and squeeze in the clutch at the same time. That's it. So I squeezed. Now I'm going to release the front brake. I'm going to keep the clutch in, and I'm going to walk it back. Now this will also give you an idea of how heavy your bike really is. Thankfully, I can flat foot this one. So once again, I'm going to find that friction zone. I'm going to go a little bit further, but I'm going to squeeze my front brake and the clutch at the same time when I want to stop. So here we go. So going out, I'm paddle walking. I feel like stopping here, so squeeze both. Very good. Release the front brake, keep the clutch in, walk it back. Okay, when I say squeeze, think of it as, let's go ahead and put this in neutral. Engine shut off to test it out. That's fun. What I mean by that is it's called progressive braking. So you give it a little bit, and then a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And you can do that quickly. So a little bit, little bit, little bit. I can't even speak quicker than I can squeeze. Think of it as, and I say this all the time on the live stream, is you have an orange and a glass of orange, or a glass right here, and you want to make orange juice. So you have a half slice of orange, you squeeze a little bit of juice comes out. Let's say you don't squeeze anymore. No more juice is coming out, right? Because you have to squeeze a little bit more to break the pulp. A little bit more, and a little bit more, a little bit more. So you're squeezing with an increasing amount of pressure, but not all at once. Because if you squeezed a ton of that at the beginning, all your strength, orange juice is going to go everywhere. So you just give it nice, smooth, but you can do it quicker and quicker and quicker. I'm sure you guys have done that. So same thing with the front brake. So let's go ahead and turn the engine shut off, on, I guess off if you really think about it. I'm going to go ahead and start the bike. And so I'm going to squeeze it a little bit, and a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Okay? So once again, this is friction zone practice. So we're going, we got to be in first. Friction zone practice with a little bit of shifting to first. Okay, now we're moving. This is good. I feel comfortable with this. Now I'm going to squeeze both. Okay, I'm going to let go of the brake, and I'm going to paddle walk it back. And if you really want to go crazy in this, let's go ahead and put it back into neutral, because now we're practicing shift to neutral, letting out. Shifting, or pulling the clutch lever, shifting to first, and then we're going. So practice your shifting and your friction zone with a little bit of paddle walking. Squeeze, squeeze. Release, walk it backwards. Walk it backwards. That's it. That's all you have to do. Now, like I said, if you want to go ahead and shift it to neutral, practice that, let it out. Sit here, there we are, squeeze it back in, shift it down, give it some friction zone, paddle walk it, pull in the clutch, squeeze the brake, walk it back, all the way, shift it into neutral to practice, let out the clutch. Let's go ahead and do engine shut off, turn off the battery, side stand down, do this, swing our leg over, and that's pretty much it. Let's see, we're in here. We practice friction zone, and we practice progressive braking. Now, those are the things that are really important for now you to start moving. We did the whole familiarization, we stayed inside here, and now we're going from here to the end of the parking space, and now we really want to now ride around, okay? So you need to know these things, because if you get in trouble and you're like, oh crap, I'm going too fast, pull in the clutch, straighten up the handlebars, apply a little bit of front brake pressure, and then go ahead and get to a stop, and then reorient yourself. Try to figure out what it is that you have to do next. So pay attention to that. And then when it comes time to shifting the second, it's the same process that you shifted from first into neutral. You just go up more, and then you go up again, then down to go down, and then down to go down, up to go up. It's the same process. You're just doing it multiple times to get in different gears, and you only need to get into different gears when you're going different speeds. When it comes to braking, that front brake is going to give you a lot of power, so it's good to practice that front brake because it's going to give you most of your power. The rear brake is really helpful too if you can combine both. So we haven't done any turning yet. We've only gone straight and backwards, and we haven't lifted our feet up yet. And that's what we're going to do when it comes to starting to ride out into the apartment complex or the neighborhood. But I really like to set up a parking lot exercise. So if you have somebody that can take this to a parking lot for you, perfect. The only reason why I say that is because when you're out here, you have curbs, you have traffic, you have all these other things in a parking lot. It's all kind of wide open, and nobody's really driving around, especially if you do it at the right time. But we are going to learn how to ride in the neighborhood. We are going to learn how to ride in this apartment complex because that might be the only thing that you have when it comes to learning how to ride. But this is very important. I need you guys to pay attention to this because it's going to save you when you get a little freaking out, like you start freaking out a little bit, okay? So let's go ahead and jump into the next exercise. All right, everybody, what we're going to be doing is riding around in the apartment complex. I like to think of the apartment complex or neighborhood or when you set up the parking lot stuff is that it's kind of like a mini course. It's like so this one specifically for the apartment, it's like a little track. Okay, you got some roads. You do have some road surface hazards here, maybe some gravel and whatnot, and then maybe some cars coming out. So you want to pick a time that you can do it with the least amount of vehicles moving around. So if it's at night or in the evening or in the morning, or if it's on a weekend and nobody's kind of moving anywhere, that's great. But what we're going to be doing is just paddle walking. Now, I like to break this up, especially if you're a brand new person, into speeds. So paddle walking is slow speed. You're not even going like 5 miles an hour, maybe a little bit faster than walking or jogging. And then you move into picking your feet up and you're going a little bit faster. We're going to stay in first gear for those first two. So paddle walking and then picking your feet up is in first gear. And then we're going to practice getting into second gear when we're actually riding around in this mini track. Now, I'm going to try to stay away from vehicles, so we're going to do the plan method, so position for safety. So I like to utilize the middle of the road unless a car is coming, and then I move over into a new position for safety on the right side here in the United States. And then I'm locating hazards, so any road surface hazards, any vehicles pulling out, or any vehicles coming at me, assessing if they are relevant threats. Maybe they just got in or they're getting out. It's not a big deal. And then navigating those. And since we're paddle walking, navigating is just applying that front brake that we practiced earlier. So we're going to be doing friction zone, getting ourselves moving, and then we're going to be playing around paddle walking. It's going to be slow, it's going to be annoying to other people, or it's going to be embarrassing maybe, but it's not a big deal because we're trying to learn. So just like we paddle walk to the edge of the parking space, now we're going to paddle walk out onto the main road. And that's what we're going to do. You're going to get to a point where you're bored of paddle walking, and then you're going to want to pick your feet up, and that's what we'll get to, okay? So, but first, we're going to paddle walk, friction zone, everything. So you notice how I got on, swing the leg over, engine shut off is on or off, however you want to put it. So basically, I could do it. Battery's on, side stand is up, and we're in first gear, so I'm going to go ahead and shift into neutral, just like we practiced, and I'm going to go ahead and start the engine. So now, we're ready to go, just like we were doing friction zone to the edge of the parking space. Let's go ahead and do that. If this is a different day, or if you're doing it all in one, it's still good to practice paddle walking. This is what I mean by paddle walking. I'm moving my feet like I'm a duck, basically. Duck walking, paddle walking, whatever you want. Now, if you live in your apartment complex, you kind of know the area. There's these 2 buildings, 3 buildings, and I'm just gonna go in circles and kind of play around however I feel. But the main thing is just to get yourself going. So I'm in friction zone. I got my clutch all the way pulled in. No traffic is coming, and that's gonna be the locating hazards. And I'm not even giving it throttle. I'm just letting the bike kind of do its thing, and I'm paddle walking. But now I'm outside on the road. This is a big step, okay? Nice little milestone, so congratulate yourself. We're almost riders, okay? So we're gonna do this. Now, you notice how there's no vehicles at all? This is fine. Now, if you want to, you're paddle walking here, let's go ahead and turn a little bit. Okay, and if you want to, I want you to do that. I want you to turn those handlebars. That's something that we haven't done yet. So turn those handlebars left, turn them right, paddle walk for balance. Still friction zone, no throttle. I'm just showing you, but keep both hands.
we're just moving back and forth. Your legs might get a little sore. That's fine. That's fine. So we're gonna go back and forth. I'm doing a head check, make sure there's no traffic. I'm gonna stay in the middle of the road. I'm looking in my mirrors, no traffic behind me, so we're practicing mirrors. I'm just kind of doing this. Now you can kind of like do this where your feet are kind of dangling with no throttle. And technically we are riding. If you get to that point, maybe put up your feet. Want to try that? Let's try that. So we're getting to this point. Friction zone feels good. Pick up our feet. Oh, we are riding now. Friction zone still. Now I'm gonna pull in the clutch. I'm gonna get my feet back down. I'm gonna go ahead and apply a little bit of brakes because we have this intersection right here, okay? Do I wanna go right? I'm looking in my mirror, nobody's behind me. Do I wanna go right or do I wanna go left? Let's go ahead and go straight, and we're gonna go left. So friction zone, letting go of the brake, paddle walking, and we're gonna do our very first turn because we ran out of road here. Now remember, this is just for the very beginning. We're gonna get to the point where we're riding around and having fun here. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply the clutch and apply the front brake and stop. Okay, no traffic, nothing, everything's fine. So now what I'm gonna do, because I have to turn left or right, this is something we haven't done yet. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the handlebars all the way to the left because I want you guys to see my right leg. I'm gonna turn all the way left, I'm gonna look left, but I'm gonna show you real quick. Put your right foot, if you're turning left, if you're turning right, left foot on the left peg. So right foot on the right peg, and I'm pushing on that peg. You see how the bike wants to go right when I do that? What you're doing is creating weight on the right side, so when we turn left with a little bit of friction zone, it doesn't want to fall down, okay? So if you don't do that, what can happen is that you start leaning this way and you start giving a little bit of throttle, you're almost wanting to fall left. A lot of people have that problem. So what we're gonna do is practice this, and we're gonna turn the handlebars all the way and give it some friction zone, and it wants to stay upright, and we're just gonna use that left leg to balance. This is all we're doing. The left leg is just paddle walking. Okay, now we turn to left. All I do is friction zone, no throttle, and we can get back to paddle walking. There's no traffic here. I'm gonna go ahead and put my feet up. We're gonna kind of go, I'm gonna put it all the way on the pegs, and we're just gonna friction zone it from left to right. Now, if you want to, no throttle, release the friction zone, the clutch, and it's gonna be kind of chuggy. We're going 5 miles an hour. It's kind of chuggy here and there, but it's wanting to do its thing. I'm not even giving anything to it. Now you notice how the bike wants to balance. Oh, we gotta turn left though. So turn the handlebars a little bit. And this is gonna be natural, just like if you're riding a bicycle, it's the same concept, you just have to pedal. So I'm just kind of friction zoning it, no throttle whatsoever, feet are on the pegs, and all I'm doing is balancing with the handlebars. Now you notice I'm gonna go left. Nobody in my mirror. I'm gonna go ahead and go to the right side. I don't wanna hit the curb, so I'm gonna go left. And then I'm gonna go to the right side. And I'm gonna go ahead right now, I'm gonna go pull on the clutch, apply a rear brake. I'm gonna test that out. Rear brake. So now we're practicing friction zone starting, stopping, turning our handlebars, and we just did rear brake, and we're practicing our stops too. So let's go ahead and get it back into friction zone. Just a little bit of friction zone, and we're gonna get going. I'm gonna paddle walk to start it until I let it all the way out, pick my feet up. Okay, I want you to practice that a few times. So let's go ahead and apply rear brake, clutch, left foot down, because my right foot is on that brake. Now both. Now we're gonna go ahead and friction zone it, no throttle, paddle walk. Once it gets some speed, and then we're good to go. You're gonna get to a point where you're like, you pull in the clutch, friction zone, and you start letting it out. Okay, we gotta turn left, look left. We're not gonna stop on this one, and just kind of turn those handlebars. Now, if you go wide, let's go, I'm gonna do a quick U-turn. I'm gonna give it some throttle here, and we're gonna get back to that spot. I want you guys to see what happens if you go a little wide, because that could be scary on that first turn. And right now I'm showing you where you could do U-turns. So like there's no parking spaces, I can use all this spot. Okay, so we're gonna get back to this part. And I'm gonna go ahead and friction zone, give it a the throttle for me so I can get it going. And I'm gonna make this turn. I'm like, okay, I'm doing it. It's like, oh no, I'm going a little too wide. I'm gonna hit the car. So you pull in the clutch, apply the brakes. And then from here, since you feel uncomfortable making that turn, go ahead and practice turning the handlebar where you want it to go. You see how it's nosed that way? And same thing, friction zone. Let the power of the bike move. And if you need to, go ahead and give it a little bit. And then straighten up the handlebars, pull in the clutch, and now you reset, okay? So let's go ahead and give it some friction zone. We're doing pretty good here. Some friction zone. And we're gonna get back to where we were. But I want you to make this left-handed turn. So like if it's a right-handed turn, left-handed turn, start practicing. Feet are up. Just like on a bicycle, if you're going 5, 10 miles an hour on a bicycle, you're gonna look where you wanna go. I don't see any traffic. We're doing pretty good. I'm off to the right side, so I have plenty of room. And I'm gonna go ahead and turn slowly. And then when you get up to here, and you're getting kind of bored of just kind of like no throttle, and you're just doing friction, that's perfectly fine. Now let's add some throttle. So now we're adding a little bit of speed. Oh, thank you. Sometimes that happens. So now we were paddle walking to get ourselves around in a circle. We're turning left and right, paddle walking, maybe putting our feet up, no throttle. Now we're gonna add throttle. So let's see if we can get to 10 miles an hour. Now in an apartment complex, anything over like 10, 15 miles an hour is pretty fast for how limited you could see. So 10 miles an hour is pretty good. So let's give it some friction zone. Let's get it going. We're in first gear. Let's paddle walk it to up here. Pick our feet up. Now that we have the clutch all the way out, let's play around a little bit with the throttle, just a tiny bit. Oh, that's a little too much. If you do that, roll off. Give it a little bit. Okay, it's a little too much. You're gonna find that really nice zone. It's very touchy sometimes. And now I gave it some throttle. I'm going 6. I'm gonna give it, I got 8. And you wanna look up. And this is about 10. Okay? So we're gonna come up to this left-handed turn again. And I'm gonna do, since it's my first time turning with throttle, I'm gonna roll off the throttle just a little bit. And I'm gonna try to just make this turn. The goal is to make these turns. Okay, now I'm slowing down. I'm gonna give it a little bit of throttle. Okay, a little weird. Not too bad. Okay, now I got some throttle. So we're playing with throttle, shutting it on. We're putting it on, shutting it off. Putting it on, then shutting off. You notice how when you turn it off, you slow down? That's called engine braking. Okay, it's not using the actual front or rear brake, it's engine braking. So we're gonna look through the turn, give it a little bit, nice and slow, however you feel comfortable. I'm going 6 now, 7, 8. Okay, we got a car, they're moving out of the way, that's not a big deal. And now, with a little bit of throttle, a little bit more speed, I'm gonna go ahead and turn left. I'm gonna turn right. I'm gonna turn left. All right, so I'm feeling pretty good. Now this is like a really long straight line weave. Okay, so we already did a turn from a stop, a straight line weave, paddle walking with some throttle. And now we're getting to another turn. And I'm gonna look, turn the handlebars, give it a little bit of throttle here and there. Once again, if it goes too wide, oh no, pull in the clutch, pull in the brake. Okay, don't panic. Pull in the clutch, pull in the front brake, stop, turn the handlebars, friction zone. Paddle walk it to where you're straight and you feel comfortable. We got traffic, that's perfectly fine. Everyone's super nice in these areas, especially if you give them room. And we're gonna give it some friction zone and a little bit of throttle this time. Okay, we got a car coming here, so locating hazardous situations. And now I'm just kind of practicing with my feet up, going super slow with friction zone. Okay, not a big deal, no traffic's coming. This person's taking their time, so I'm gonna go ahead and kind of slow it down. I'm gonna put my feet down. They don't know how to park, that's not a big deal. They're figuring it out too. And so right now this is a good idea to understand what you're doing. So clutch is in, no throttle. Now I'm gonna go ahead and release the clutch into friction zone. I'm gonna paddle walk. I don't know if they're gonna back up to readjust. It looks like they turned it off because I see the lights on the back turn off. And I'm gonna give it a little bit of throttle to get going. Okay, now we're at this point right here. So the first step was
we were paddle walking to get going. I'm going to pull in the clutch. I'm going to apply the front brake and the rear brake a little bit. First part was paddle walking to get ourselves out, doing some straight line weaves, tight turn with the paddle walk. Now we're going to keep our feet up. This is the second portion. It's a little bit faster. Now we're going to go ahead and instead of just friction zone to get going, we're going to get into that friction zone, which is about right here. See how I'm starting to move? And I'm going to give it a little bit of throttle when it starts to move a little bit. Okay, that's going to be what you typically do. Okay, so I'm going to get it in the friction zone right now and a little bit of throttle, and it wants to take off, and now I am slowly releasing the clutch. Now I'm in 10 miles an hour-ish, and now I'm moving. So at this point, we're not going to slow down before the turn. We're just going to keep it between 5 and 10. See if we can get 10. And I'm going to go ahead, and since I've been doing left-handed turns, I'm going to practice my right-handed turn. So I'm going to turn right here instead. So I'm going to stay on the right side, and I'm going to double check. I'm going to look right, turn the handlebars right, straighten it up, and we're going. So we're still in first gear. Remember, this is like a little miniature track, and we're just moving. We're having fun. We're riding. This is our first time riding here. We're enjoying ourselves. Now we have an intersection, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and roll off the throttle, pull in the clutch, apply the brakes. We're practicing intersections. We can either turn right here or we can go straight, but I'm watching for any traffic that's coming out. So once again, give it into the friction zone, and then once you're in friction zone, give it some throttle, and it's gonna wanna take off a little faster and slowly release the clutch lever out, and now we're riding again. So you're gonna do this until you're super comfortable, because right now we're in a closed environment with a little bit of traffic. Once you get on the main road, you're gonna have a lot more traffic, depending on the day, and that's gonna cause more stress, and it's gonna cause more skills that you're gonna need, like swerving and braking. So once again, clutch in, applying the brakes, we're at an intersection. Now that we're keeping our feet up and we understand the throttle and everything, what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a left-handed turn, okay? And we're not gonna paddle walk it. So this is another exercise. This is the tight turn from a stop without paddle walking. So we're gonna turn the handlebars left, and just like I said earlier, put that weight on that tire. So I'm pushing the bike almost to the right to where it wants to fall. So I'm putting weight there, and I'm looking left, handlebars completely turned. I'm gonna release a little bit of the clutch into the friction zone. It's gonna wanna start going, and I'm gonna give it a little bit of throttle like we've been practicing. And we're gonna aim towards the middle, and now we're going to make this turn without stopping. Okay, so I'm gonna explain that a little bit more, because that is part of the typical DMV test, where you have to do a straight line weave, tight turn from a stop, a U-turn, and emergency swerving and emergency braking. So we're gonna go ahead and stop right here. So pull in the clutch, apply the front brake, and we're going to stop. Now, here's one thing that typically happens, especially for those that have a lack of balance, because it's the first few times, is that when you start to do this, okay, you're turning the handlebars, you want to make this perfect turn, the handlebars all the way turned, and you start to give it throttle, and you start to go, but then your handlebars do this, and you're like, oh crap, and then you do this. Okay, so what's happening there is that you're not trusting the bike, and that's fine, because nobody really trusts the bike the first time. So I'm gonna get myself back in position. This is a U-turn. If you notice, it's just basically two left 90-degree turns, and that's something you're gonna have to learn, but we'll practice that when we get into the next exercise or the next lesson, where we're going a little bit faster, little gee-whiz exercises that we gotta do. Okay, so what's happening is that when you do this and you give it throttle, you feel like you wanna fall in, and so you straighten the handlebars and it straightens it out. So when you are like this and you wanna fall in and you're like, oh crap, my foot is like falling in, what you wanna do is, like I said, is push down on that outside peg. Something that you can do is get maybe your right butt cheek off to the right, and that puts a little bit more weight on the outside. So that's something you can try. So put your right butt cheek off, and then do the same thing. See, like I did it so well that I'm aiming towards the curb. So I'm gonna pull in the clutch, and I'm gonna paddle walk it back, with the handlebars turned. I'm gonna pull it up more over here so when I do that extremely sharp 90-degree turn, I'm not going towards the curb. So once again, turn the handlebars. You wanna look where you wanna go. Now I feel like I'm falling in, right? So I'm gonna put my right butt cheek off the seat a little bit or more to the right. My weight is on my leg on my right side on that peg, so it's pushing it this way. See how I almost fell over because I pushed down? So I'm gonna push down a little bit. Friction zone, throttle control, head movement, handlebar is turned, weight on the outside, and now I am going there. And that's a tight turn from a stop. You're gonna have to do that at the DMV, and you're gonna have to do it, I think, on the right side. So we're gonna go ahead and practice that right side. So friction zone, that's pretty much slow speed stuff is all friction zone, and this is why the Smart Rider drills are so good, because you're doing a bunch of different designs, tight turns, you're doing wide turns, you're doing right and left, you're doing U-turns, 360s, you're doing all these different things to practice that slow speed friction zone and throttle control and balance. So we're gonna get up to here, and now we're gonna do the right side. Now here's a tip though, because the right side has the throttle close to you. So I'm slowing it down. So when the throttle is close to you, your wrist kind of gets all weird. It's like this, like a T-Rex. What you can do is hold it like a remote controller for your TV. So I'm holding it like this. And so now I'm turning right, I'm looking right, but now I put weight on that left peg. Same thing, same process, but now I'm holding it like a remote. So a little bit like a remote. Friction zone throttle control. And then once I get up to here, I'm still in a remote stance with my right hand. I'm gonna go ahead and just move my hand back. That's it. So we're practicing the straight line weave like this. I checked my mirrors before I did that, so no cars were coming. So a really wide straight line weave. We did some tight turns. Okay, we did friction zone, throttle control, we did all that stuff, but we haven't done a U-turn yet. I mean, I've shown you guys, but I haven't taught you guys that. So what you do with the U-turn, because now we're coming up to this, now this will automatically open when I get close, but if you notice, and I want you to find an area, I'm gonna put it in neutral so I can talk to you real quick. I want you guys to find an area that is kind of like this in an apartment. You notice how there's like no vehicles in that parking spot, which means you have not just the middle of the road, but you have the parking spaces to make that U-turn, and that's wide. Typically, for the test and a few things, you want to do it within 20 feet, and from the painted lines to those painted lines is roughly 20 feet. So if you can do it within that and not hit cars, like pretend there's cars, and you could do that within that, you're doing great, but we're first starting. Now I'm checking my mirrors, I see a car coming right now, so I'm gonna wait a little bit. And what we're gonna do is paddle walk the first one, the first U-turn, so you get a good feeling for it, okay? So we're coming up to here, I'm gonna put it back into first, we're just in first. I'm gonna paddle walk it, and just like that tight turn from a stop when we were doing this, that's basically what we're doing, okay? But we're not doing it from a stop, we're gonna paddle walk. I'm checking my mirrors, nobody's coming up this way. Remember, we're planning a ride also. So I'm getting up to here, I'm looking left, I'm gonna turn the handlebars, I'm paddle walking, turn the handlebars, and I was able to do it really quickly because I just turned them all the way, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you what it looks like if you do it nice and wide the first time. Oh, we could do it right here, because look at, there's no cars there, nothing here, nothing in my mirror, no one coming around. I'm gonna go wide on this one. So paddle walk. Now I didn't turn the handlebars too far. They're still kind of, they're like halfway, but it's like, oh no. And now I'm doing it within the parking spaces, and I'm doing this, and I saw a golf cart. Okay, it's the maintenance guy, very good. And now we're getting to this part where we can accelerate out. So if you notice, we're just kind of having fun inside the apartment complex. Now I'm gonna pick my feet up and do it. So I'm gonna look, oh, I'm going too wide, but this is why we chose this spot, because now we're doing it within the parking spaces. And there it is. We're having fun, and this is like a little track. All of the roads, we're not even on the main road. This is a private property road. I live here, all this stuff, so you're not really gonna have to deal with things in terms of like getting kicked out or whatever. So we're turning, we're gonna look left, turn the handlebars, nice and slow. And now I'm gonna give it some throttle. I wanna see what it feels like. Hey, remember having fun now rolling it off? You see how we slow it down? Okay,
So on these straightaways, maybe you want to play around a little bit. But we're having fun. That's the whole point of this. We're just learning how to ride. You're gonna get a little exhausted quicker, so it's gonna feel like it's a lot of work. Okay, we're gonna turn left right here, so I'm gonna look, and I'm gonna turn the handlebars. There it is. It's a lot of fun because like it's like riding a bicycle, but you're not having a pedal, and it's a lot of fun because now you're kind of cruising around. You could say that you ride a motorcycle, but it can get exhausting because it's your first few times. And your brain is gonna get tired because you're constantly looking for everything, trying to figure out, like, you're connecting your mind to your body, and your body might get tired because you're basically putting in a lot of work. Slow speed stuff is a lot of work. So we're gonna go ahead and go straight. But you're having fun. So if you can only do like 10 minutes at a time, perfectly fine. If you can do 30 minutes, that's great. Take a break. I recommend full gear, so it's a little warm right now. It's about 91 degrees, and I'm wearing full gear going slow. But now I'm just kind of cruising around. So we're gonna go and take it to the next step, okay? We're gonna wait for straightaways. So the next step is to give it throttle and to get to 15 miles an hour, okay? Stay in first gear for now, and then we're gonna move into second gear, so we're gonna practice shifting. So right now, we're gonna go ahead, I see a straightaway, I'm gonna give it a little bit of throttle. Okay, about 15, 17 miles an hour, but we got a turn coming up, so I'm gonna roll off the throttle, and do the turn slowly at first until you get comfortable. Now you notice how it's like a little jerky? Now I'm doing this is because that's first gear. Usually in second and above, it's a little bit smoother, but this is perfectly fine, okay? So now we're gonna give it some throttle. And you notice how you can hear the RPMs climb? That means I'm getting closer to where I need to go into second gear. So we're getting up to here, I'm gonna roll off the throttle. And I'm gonna make this turn where I'm comfortable. If I'm a brand new rider, it's pretty slow. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn. There it is, okay? I'm gonna give it a little bit of throttle. No cars, the gate's not open, okay? No cars, no cars. I'm gonna roll off the throttle. Now I'm gonna go ahead and turn left here and then stop real quick because I wanna explain the shifting method. So I'm gonna turn, and I'm gonna go ahead and pull off here. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in neutral. And this is what we're gonna practice sometimes. Okay, so I'm here in first gear. I'm gonna lift up a little bit, just a half click up in neutral. Okay, so what we know is shifting, right? Because we go from neutral to first. So neutral to first is down 1. First to neutral is like a half click up. Now, if we do a full click, we get into second gear. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you. So first gear is 1 click down. Okay, first gear, half click up. So you have to get my toe underneath and do a half click up. Now you might have already accidentally gotten to second gear, and so what second gear is, let's go back to first. So we're riding around, having fun, we're gonna accelerate, and now I have to pull in the clutch, roll off the throttle, get my toe underneath, and full click into second gear, and that's second gear, so full click. So first gear, right here, full click, all the way up. And it's gonna stop you. It's not gonna go second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. It's gonna stop you at second gear. You have to do it each time, okay? So you can start off friction zone in the second gear. It's gonna be a little chuggy. So I'm gonna release friction zone. I might stall, let's see. Yeah, so that might happen, okay? So it's not like first gear. So if that does happen to you, just pull in the clutch, start it back up. You can start it in second gear. Let's go ahead and put it back into first gear. And then now if I release it slowly and then release it, it's gonna take off. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull it back in, pull in the front brake, and there we are. So now we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do it on the backside. So we're gonna ride around a little bit, and we're gonna practice shifting, okay? So once again, just like when you shift from neutral, you have to pull in the clutch, press down, and then you can go. So when you go into second gear, because you're already riding, you have to pull in the clutch, you have to roll off the throttle, and you have to shift up and then release the clutch into friction zone and give it throttle, okay? So just like we started off the first time where I was like, hey, we're just gonna go into friction zone, paddle walk. And then we went to friction zone, give it a little bit of throttle and pick our feet up and go. Release the friction zone, giving it some throttle is what we're doing in motion to go to second, to third, to fourth, okay? So right now, give it some friction zone, we're in first gear, give it some throttle, and we take off, okay? So what we're doing now, I'm not gonna do it yet, is I wanna show you guys the practice. So if I wanna shift into second gear,
I pull in the clutch, roll off the throttle, I'm coasting, I shift up into second gear, release into friction zone, and give it throttle. So what we're gonna do right now is pull in the clutch, roll off the throttle, friction zone, give it throttle. Pull in the clutch, shut off the throttle, release, and give it throttle. Now we're gonna come up to here, we're gonna slow down just a little bit, and we're gonna make this left-handed turn. So friction zone, giving it throttle through the turn. I'm gonna turn off, I'm gonna pull in the clutch and turn off the throttle at the same time. And I'm gonna go ahead and do this again. Release the clutch, give it throttle. Shut it off, turn it on. Shut it off, turn it on. And I'm exaggerating the hand movement, but that's what you do. So now what I'm gonna do, since I'm riding, I'm gonna add an extra step. I'm gonna shut it off and then shift up. So shut it off, shift up, give it throttle. Now I want to downshift, so shut it off, downshift. Give it a little throttle and friction zone, and then you can release the friction zone. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn right here, and I want to show you guys what I mean exactly with my hands, because you guys are watching it from behind and maybe on this face camera. So I'm gonna put it in neutral. I'm gonna put the side stand down. So here's the clutch, right? So here's the clutch and here's the throttle. So throttle's on, I'm going, I'm gassing it up. The clutch is in. So gassing it up, clutch is out. Now if I want to shift at all, I gotta shut it off on the left, shift with my foot. And then when I want to go, friction zone, give it throttle. Shifting, shut them both off, shift with my foot, friction zone, and throttle. Shut it off, shut it off, shut it off, shut it off. Give it smooth. Shut it off, smooth. And you're gonna get to a point where you're gonna be smooth, 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 smooth. So when it's off, that's when you can shift with your left foot up or down, and then smooth, smooth, smooth. So you're gonna get to a point where you're gonna be smooth shift, smooth on, smooth shift, smooth on. And right now it's three movements. It's your left hand, right hand, and your left foot, and it's awkward. So first gear, smooth on. So give it some throttle into friction zone. We're gonna make this turn, and I'm gonna show you again, smooth, 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 smooth. So I'm gonna shift into second with my left foot. So just think my left foot's doing this, it's clicking it up. I'm getting underneath it, clicking it up. But my hands are what's important. So once again, I'm gonna get some speed. That's it, I just shifted. I'm gonna go ahead and slow it down. I'm gonna roll off the throttle. I'm gonna get to like 10. And then same thing. Shift, smooth. So we're gonna make this left-handed turn. And once again, it's just clutch in, throttle off, left foot shifts. And then you release the clutch a little bit to friction zone, you give it a little bit of throttle for it to catch, and then you go. And you're gonna get smooth and smooth and smooth and smooth and smooth. And you do that for second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth gear, because you're climbing in speed. So right here, I'm gonna give it some throttle, off shift, smooth on. That's it. It's just really quick, and you're gonna get to a point where you know where your friction zone is. All right, so that's shifting. So we just went and did straight line weave, right? We're doing straight line weave, straight line weave. We did a tight turn from a stop, so let's do that right now. So a tight turn from a stop right here. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna slow it down. We're also practicing our braking, okay? So tight turn from a stop, looking left, handlebars left, weight on the outside. I'm gonna get my right butt cheek a little bit off, and I'm gonna go and do that friction zone, throttle control, tight turn from a stop right there. Okay, very good. And also, if we want to practice U-turns, we're gonna go ahead and do this. We're gonna get all the way into here. No one in my rear view, no one coming. So I'm gonna turn the handlebars, and I'm gonna make this nice, easy U-turn. And guess what? You just reversed the course. Now we're doing all right-hand stuff. All right, so we're gonna do right-hand turns. So I'm looking, slowing down at the intersection because I do want to check. Okay, nobody's coming, nobody's coming. Tight turn. There it is. And now we're doing right-handed turns, but we're gonna do in the shifting. So once again, straight line weave, tight turn, U-turn. We're doing shifting now, we're having fun. The only thing we haven't practiced was swerving and emergency braking, okay? So we're gonna do that right now. So we're gonna do emergency braking. So that motorcycle right up there, I'm gonna pretend I have to stop right next to him. So I'm gonna give it some speed, let's say 15. I'm in first gear, pulling the clutch, pulling the brakes, and squeeze, 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 squeeze. That's it. I wanted to stop beforehand. So what I'm doing with the brakes, once again, we showed it. I'm gonna do this. We showed it on the parking space. I'm grabbing it underneath so you can see. So all I'm doing is squeezing. See how there's this play right here? So you get to the point where there's no play, and then you squeeze, and you're gonna start slowing down, and then you're gonna squeeze more and more and more. You don't wanna, bam, smash it. No, 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 no. You wanna squeeze to that point, and you start feeling the brakes actually attach, which is, this is the front brake. And then once you have it, you squeeze more, 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 okay? And that's what we're doing. It's called progressive braking. And if you have to stop, let's say a car was coming around, right? So I'm coming up to here and I'm going fast, right? Or I'm going 15, car comes around, oh crap, squeeze. And I'm squeezing in the clutch at the same time. So if you don't squeeze in the clutch at the same time, let's show you what that looks like. I'm just gonna do that right here. So I'm going, I wanna stop at this little, or after this little blue thing, I'm squeezing the clutch, or I'm sorry, I'm squeezing the brakes, and it's just gonna do that. It's gonna stall. Because when you're not moving and you don't have the clutch in, it stalls, just like if you start the bike with the clutch and you dump it, okay? So if that happens, squeeze, start it back up. Not a big deal. So once again, I'm gonna do that right here. So I'm just gonna squeeze the front brake. And it stalls. Oh, it's annoying, it's whatever, but squeeze the clutch, squeeze the front brake. So if you ever come to emergency stop, because you still want to have power, because it's an emergency, right? So there's cars coming, so I'm going to slow it down. We're practicing traffic, remember? Okay. So if I ever need to come to a stop, I squeeze the clutch, squeeze the front brake. And I squeeze more and more. If you notice how, I'm going to go ahead and do it slowly. If you notice how the front end dives down, once that happens, you can start squeezing more. So I'm going to squeeze, it's starting to go down, and I could squeeze even more. And you almost get to a point where you do that, okay? So that's emergency braking. You want to practice that every now and then. I would practice it at these intersections. That's a good spot. So right here, because I don't want to get stopped in the intersection, okay? So you want to stop before the intersection. So practice your brake. So here's another intersection. And I'm putting my left foot down and my right foot down for balance once I stop. So paddle walk, feet up. So we got another intersection coming up here. I'm still in first gear, just so I can practice the braking. I want to stop before the intersection, squeezing the clutch, squeezing the brake, apply more and more and more. Now, we were already doing that when we're coming up to intersections and we're just slowly doing it. Now, all you're doing is slowly doing it, but adding a little more speed. I know that makes no sense, but what you're doing is you're slowing down, and then once you get weight on that front tire, then you can squeeze more and more and more, and you'll stop. That really helps out when you're going super fast, okay? Tight turn to the left. You're gonna get to a point where you're just like, okay, I'm playing around. I don't even remember that I did a tight turn. I just did a turn. And that's what you're gonna do. It's like, oh, I don't even remember doing friction zone. I don't even remember giving throttle. I don't remember doing a turn. I'm just riding. And that's where a lot of people get in trouble because they just think, oh, I'm just riding. No, it's like you're actually doing skills. Like right now I'm riding, okay? Pretend I'm riding. But what I'm doing is I'm turning to the left. Tight turn to the left. I'm also looking left and I'm looking right. And now I'm gonna turn right. So I'm turning right. So I'm also giving it good throttle. I'm now giving it more throttle and I'm shutting off the throttle, pulling the clutch, and I'm shifting up into second, and I'm doing friction zone and throttle control. And people just call it riding, but they're different skills, okay? So now we're in second gear, and I'm gonna stop where this trailer is in emergency stop, right? Okay, so here we go. So I'm in second gear, I could do this too. Pull in the clutch, apply the brakes. And once I slow down, I could squeeze more. Okay, but now I'm in second gear. Now I can do friction zone throttle control to get myself out, but what I'm gonna do, downshift into first gear and start all over. So if you're in fourth gear and you have to do an emergency stop, once you're stopped, downshift, 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 downshift to first, and then go again. Okay, so once again, practice here. Second gear. I want to stop at that hydrant right up there, so I'm going to go ahead and do an emergency stop. Oh, I got to stop. So clutch, front brake, and now practice a little bit of rear brake. Stop. That's it. Now practice down to the first, and here we go. Friction zone throttle control, turn the head, and then go. So the only thing we haven't practiced was emergency swerve. If you noticed, we were doing straight line weaves, right? So all a swerve is that you're trying to avoid something on the ground that's in front of you, or if a car pulls out and you have to swerve out of the way because you can't stop in time. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do this, and I'm gonna be on the left side, give it a little bit of speed, swerve to the right, straighten it up, and I'm gonna slowly get back to the right side. Now, how do you swerve? It's just like the straight line weave. It's just like the straight line weave. That's it. You're just swerving and then swerving back. That's it. Now, something to help out when it comes to what you should do with your arms and like how to swerve efficiently, we're gonna do that up here, okay? I'm gonna show you real quick. So we're gonna get around this corner. I'm gonna get into second gear just because I feel like it. I'm practicing shifting too. And I can make a turn in second gear, but if I go too slow, it's gonna chug. That's fine, just give it a little bit of throttle. So now I'm gonna go ahead and stop right here, downshift. I'm gonna put it in neutral so I can show you. Side stand down. So when it comes to swerving, this is direct steering. So this is direct steering right here, going left and right with the handlebars. I like to pretend I have like a broomstick in my hands when it comes to swerving. And instead of doing this with the swerve, with direct steering, this is direct steering, I'm gonna do like I'm shoveling or a broomstick where I'm kind of brooming. So what I'm doing is I'm turning this way. So if you notice how my hands don't do this when I'm direct steering, it's just doing this. So I'm leaning into it, leaning out, okay? I'm not turning the handlebars, I'm shoveling this way or shoveling this way. And once you do it, remember, once you swerve left, if you keep this, you're gonna keep turning left and crash or somewhere because the road's not gonna keep turning. So once you swerve left, you have to swerve right and straighten it up. So whichever way you swerve right, you have to swerve back left, straighten it up. Swerve left, you swerve right, straighten it up. So right here, I'm gonna get into first. I'm gonna start off on the right side. We're gonna do it nice and slow. I'm gonna start off on the right side, I'm gonna swerve left, no cars coming behind me. And what I'm gonna do is give it a little bit of speed, so about 10, shift my arms. So I'm, oh, there it is. So I'm moving my hands like I'm shoveling. Now at slow speeds, direct steering is really good. So at high speeds, it's definitely that shoveling. So I'm gonna give it some speed. And shifting it back, okay? So I'm swerving left, swerving right to get back to my original position. So I'm gonna go ahead, stay on the right side. I'm gonna swerve left. Now I'm gonna swerve right, get back into my position, straighten it up, and good to go, okay? That's all you're doing. And it's gonna be weird at first, so you might do it slow. We're gonna do it over here. You might do it slow, and it might look weird. So slow, you might turn those handlebars. You might do direct steering, so let's go 10. So you might be like, okay, turn, turn, just like the straight line weave where I'm doing direct steering and direct steering. That's perfectly fine at slow speed, but once you get that higher speed, it's that shovel maneuver, and that's called counter steering. It's hard to do that here in a parking lot, especially with all this, you know, these obstacles and whatnot. So whenever I'm riding out on the road going 30, 40, 50, I practice it like there's a manhole cover. Oh, there's a manhole cover, I'm gonna swerve around it. Manhole cover, I'm gonna swerve around it. I'm gonna go ahead and apply the brakes. I'm gonna go ahead and turn left. So we got over paddle walking, straight line weave, lifting our feet up, turning the handlebars, doing tight turns. We practice a little bit of U-turns. We practice shifting. We practice what happens when we stall. We practice emergency braking, stopping at intersections and braking, and we practice swerves, all within an apartment complex parking lot. Now, I want you to do this until you're comfortable. And you're like, I'm bored, actually. I want you to do this until you're bored. And then go ahead and park the bike. So that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna come up and park the bike in my stall. And it's just like here. So I'm gonna show you what it looks like I'm parking, right? So I'm in first gear. I'm going pretty, I wanna go faster, but I'm in first gear. So just like I'm stopping at an intersection, I'm stopping in my parking stall. That's it. That's it. So we're gonna get up to there. Nice little turn. We're having fun. I'm getting bored, so I'm gonna go ahead and park it. But if I keep getting bored and it's like I really wanna move out of this into the little baby area, tutorial section, the beginner area, like in World of Warcraft, and you're like level 10 now, I swear, I wonder if I'm too much of a nerd. Then we can move on to the road itself. But right now, we're gonna practice stopping in our parking lot stall. So we're coming up to here. My stall is right there, so what I'm doing is I'm off to the right. I'm gonna go ahead and slow it down. No traffic. And if I feel comfortable, I'm gonna go ahead and ride it into there. But if you're not, you can paddle walk, and that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna go ahead and paddle walk, turning, turning, turning. Now I'm aiming, so I'm looking exactly where I wanna go. Paddle walking, pulling the clutch, nice and easy. I'm gonna go ahead and shift it into neutral. I'm gonna go ahead and sit the side stand down, turn it on its side, turn off the bike with the key, where you can shut it off here and then turn the key. And we're gonna go ahead and swing our leg over. And we had a nice little practice session. So if that was your first time riding, remember we can go from paddle walking for your first time riding, and you might get tired and you wanna park it. We wanna lift our legs up or lift our feet up on the pegs, and really just stay in first gear and practice this straight line weave, practice the swerving in first gear, practice all that stuff, perfectly fine. And then the third one is shifting to second, because now you're getting closer to 15 to 20 miles an hour, so higher speed. So 3 different things: paddle walking, feet up first gear, feet up second gear. And that's all you can really do in an apartment complex. Once you get bored of this, we want to get on the road, and that's when we have to worry about traffic, road surface hazards, shifting to third, shifting to fourth, shifting to fifth. But we practice shifting, and it's the same concept. You're going to be slow out there. It's not going to be smooth, and it's going to be scary, okay? And it's the same concept shifting down, and we showed that, where instead of shifting up, it's, you have to shut everything off, shift, and then put everything back on. To go up, it's the same thing. Shut everything off, shift down, back on, down, back on, down, back on. And the reason why you're shifting down is because you're coming up to a street light, or you're coming up to a stop, and you're in fourth gear, so you got to go to third, go to second, and then you can go ahead and stop, and then you put it in first because you're stopped, and then you're ready to go when the turn's green. So we'll do a lot more of that when it comes to that lesson. But this is just you getting started in a parking lot, or no, I'm sorry, in an apartment. You do this in a neighborhood, and if you really want to take your skills to the next level, we're going to get on the road and then make it to a parking lot and do some of the Smart Rider drills and a few of those things. So that's the concept there. Now, while we're here, might as well go ahead and show you how you back it up. So what I like to do, and I know a lot of people do it differently. Some people get in the front and they move it this way. Some people do this and move it this way. I like to be facing my bike here, okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and push it to where it's balanced. I'm going to use my left foot, side stand, and I'm using this to turn the bike, and I'm using my right hand to push the bike. So I'm pushing the bike with my right hand. Nice and easy shuffling feet, shuffling feet, shuffling feet, shuffling feet. Now at this point, I'm going to turn the handlebars, shuffling feet, shuffling feet, shuffling feet. And if I get freaked out, I just do this. Okay? So I like to lean the bike a little bit more towards me when I'm doing it. I don't want to push it too far because then it's going to fall out that way. So I'm pushing it towards me. It's leaning a little bit towards me. Push with my right hand. Shuffle my feet so I don't trip over my feet. And now I'm going to put the side stand down. I'm going to straighten the handlebars, and I'm ready to go. Okay? Same thing when I want to put it back in the stall if I'm right here. Let's go ahead and do it backwards. I know some of you guys like to do it backwards. So I'm pushing it forward, shuffling my feet, shuffling my feet, shuffling my feet, shuffling my feet. Now, just like we were getting out of the stall, turn the handlebars, push with my right hand, shuffle my feet, shuffle my feet, shuffle my feet, shuffle my feet, shuffle my feet. Now straighten it up, shuffle, push, shuffle, push, shuffle, push, shuffle, push. And I'm in my spot. I like it. Side stand down and there. That's why having some physical fitness is important. Now we're ready to go for the next time. So we should probably go on the road. Let's do that. All right, everybody, we're about to head out on public roads. So before we really do this, make sure you get your permit because we don't want to deal with, any legalities. And yeah, if you ride perfect or drive perfect, you never, get pulled over and whatnot. But if you're a brand new rider, you might drop the bike at the stop sign or at a stoplight, or you might accidentally tap somebody, or somebody even taps you. Let's say you're perfect, but somebody taps you, hits you. You don't want to deal with that extra legality. So get your permit. And but yeah, we're gonna go ride a public road. So I set myself up on a little destination here on my Google Maps, and I'm using my rock form mount. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I want to take as much as I possibly can off my brain where I need to know where I'm going. So I could just glance at that so I can focus heavily just on the motorcycle, even though I know exactly where I'm going. When you start doing something new, you kind of just block out a lot of different things. So that's going to be helpful. I'm using my Cardo Pack Talk Edge for it to communicate to me where I want to go. So that's also good. So rock form, Cardo, there's some links for some discounts if you want that, but it's not necessary. It's what I like. So we're going to go ahead and just do what we were doing. We're riding around here. And we're going to do the startup process, and we're going to head on the public road. If you don't feel comfortable heading on the public road yet, just do like a quick U-turn or head back home and keep practicing your neighborhood or the apartment. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on the key. We're going to do the whole process again. I'm going to swing the leg over, and we're going to go ahead and set it up, side stand up, engine start because I'm in neutral. I'm feeling pretty confident. I've been doing this for a while. So the first thing that we're going to want to do, I'm going to go and put this down so you can hear me a little bit better. First thing I want to do is just friction zone throttle control. I know where my gate is when it comes to the apartment. Put myself into first gear and friction zone. And I'm just going to kind of creep out here. This is what I like to do whenever I get out of my spot, is just double check traffic. That's going to be helping you out when it comes to when we're out on the road itself. And remember, we're going to be utilizing the plan method. So we're going to position ourselves for safety, locate hazards, and then assess and navigate. So we got this car here kind of just sitting here. I have to go out this other gate. Okay, we start to move. Perfect. They're going to go ahead and activate the little switch thing underneath. So it's going to open it up for me. I'm going to wait for them. And what it's saying on my GPS is I have to take a left-handed turn. Now, don't panic too much. Just wait for a big opening, okay? So we're putting ourselves in a position, we're locating hazard situations. And for us, since we're new, taking a turn on traffic is scary because then you got to accelerate to the flow of traffic, okay? So now we're adding cars and then road rules. Okay, look, perfect. There's no vehicles. This is a great opportunity. I could just pause for a second. Okay, friction zone, throttle control. I'm gonna go ahead and go out. I'm doing it slowly so you guys can see what it looks like. I'm looking where I want to go, and then now when I'm here, this is that straightaway in the apartment. We're gonna go ahead and do the shift. And we're gonna increase some speed, and I'm gonna turn off my indicator because they don't auto cancel. And I'm getting to the point where it's like second gear is not good enough. Oh no, first time ever, third gear. Here we go. Speed limit is 35 miles an hour. I'm gonna sit in the middle because there's road debris on the right. Nice space cushion to the left. And I see on my GPS, I have to turn left. There's no cars behind me. This is perfect. It's a stale green light, so it's probably gonna turn red for me. And honestly, there it is. I don't mind if it turns red for me because now I get to go ahead and use my indicator, head check on the mirror, and I'm gonna start downshifting. So start downshifting a little bit sooner than you think you need to and get up to the line. Okay, so I'm doing some slow speed here, and I don't like to sit in first gear all the time at red light, especially if I'm in the front. I'm gonna go and put myself in neutral, and I'm double checking, and I keep my hands on the stuff. I'm double checking in my mirror for that white car behind me, seeing if they're gonna get too close and whatnot. They're slowing down. Okay, perfect. So it's a red light. There's no arrow here, so I have to wait till all this traffic that's going through to go.
You can creep up into the intersection if you want. Now, what I'm looking for when it comes to intersections like this, you see all the road debris and gravel right there, I'm avoiding it. Now, I have enough time to plan, you know, like my left-handed turn here. So I'm looking at the ground where the left-handed turn, like where I'm going, and see if there's gravel. I see some road repair, a pot or a manhole cover. I'm just gonna go over that road repair because it looks pretty good. And so now we have an open traffic. And if you need to, go ahead and paddle walk it and then pick your feet up and then just aim for that first available lane. We're getting to this point, turn off my indicator. I have to shift into second. And I don't care about other traffic mainly. I'm kind of focused on myself. Shift into the third. And I have to get into the right lane at some point. So I'm doing head checks, indicator, indicator. I'm gonna go ahead and switch to the other lane. And I'm gonna turn off my indicator. So I'm just repeating and saying like what it is I'm thinking as a new rider, like what to focus on. I know it's a lot, but really you're just kind of focused on your actual riding abilities. So I'm gonna roll off the throttle, avoid this manhole cover. It's a red, that's fine for me. I'm gonna start downshifting. I'm gonna use my indicator, downshifting into first gear because that's where I'm gonna take off from. I'm gonna practice my stops at the line. There's no traffic. I'm gonna go ahead and accelerate, get into first gear, avoid that little line in the middle, shift into second gear, turn off my indicator. Speed limit is 40, so I'm probably gonna get into fourth gear, so that's fun. There's a pothole there. And if you're brand new, just stick to the right lane in the United States. You're the slow one. They kind of anticipate slow people on the right side, so that's perfectly fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and increase my speed to fourth gear, get closer to 40 miles an hour. Now, if I'm not comfortable at 40, and there's like no real traffic, that's the side of the vehicle right there, they're not coming out, that's good, then I'm just gonna stick to 35. But on this long, it's kind of straight, I'm gonna go ahead and increase it to 40 just to see what it feels like. And it almost feels the same. Maybe it gives you a little anxiety and you're like, oh, I don't like 40. Well, that gives you an idea of maybe stick to the apartments until you get comfortable with your riding skills, or turn around right here and just stay on this 40-mile-an-hour road and practice your U-turns until you get used to 40 miles an hour. So I'm avoiding as much of this road surface hazard as I possibly can. Cars pass me, I don't care. I'm just looking for these intersections right here, and if there's any cars coming out, because that's part of locating hazardous situations, assessing relevant threats. There's no relevant threats. Perfect. Stay in my position for safety. If anybody starts pulling out, I have to navigate, and that's where that emergency swerve really comes into play. Emergency braking comes into play, so pulling the clutch, pulling the brakes. Okay, and then friction zone it back in, and you should be good to go. So I dropped from 40 to 30, not a big deal. So we're coming up to an intersection right here. It's green for us, it's stale green, so I'm gonna go through it, but I'm looking for left turners and anybody turning right in front of me right here. There's no traffic whatsoever. It's still green. At this point, I can't stop in time, so even if it turns yellow, I'm going for it. I'm not gonna panic. And now I'm through the intersection. Perfect. So we have our first bump right here. So one thing we really haven't covered is how to go over bumps. So you're gonna lift your butt up like this, real quick, over that bump. We have a car behind me, I don't care. So here's a bump on the railroad tracks, lift my butt up, and go. And the reason why that happens is that when that back tire hits that bump, it's gonna go up. And so you wanna use your legs in that space between your butt and the seat as a shock absorber so it doesn't like buck you. Pretty weird. Okay, I'm just going 40, and it says 45, so I'm gonna increase my speed to 45. And I see on my GPS, because I wasn't even paying attention to where I was supposed to be going, I have to turn right here, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and turn my indicator. I'm gonna not roll off my throttle now, but now, once I got into this turn lane, I'm gonna roll off my throttle. It's a nice area. So I'm gonna start downshifting. We have a left turner right there, but hopefully they follow the road rules and allow me to go first. It seems like they are. So I'm in second gear, making a nice easy turn like we were doing in the apartments. Now I have to turn left right here. Here's another bump, same thing. No stop sign for me, lift my butt up. And I'm gonna make this turn nice and easy. Okay, it's a 35-mile-an-hour road. It's a little curvy. I'm gonna turn off my blinker. I'm gonna stay, there's no one here, so it's like, screw it. I'm just gonna go ahead and stay about this. I'm enjoying it. This is my first real curve. Get a good feel for it.
That was pretty easy. There's a sign here that says there's gonna be a stop sign, and looks like there's another speed bump ahead. So I'm gonna go ahead and just maintain this until I get closer. I'm gonna roll off the throttle. See how I'm slowing down? So I don't even have to brake right now. I'm just slowing down, and I'm gonna go ahead and shift into first gear, friction zone at no throttle. Getting closer, going over the speed bump. At slow speeds, it's not a big deal, but you could try it out at slow speeds and see how it feels on your butt. No traffic. Nice friction zone. Into first. Shift into second. And the whole point of this is that we're getting used to riding on the road with traffic. The only thing that we added from the apartments to this is that now we have traffic and road rules we have to follow. We absolutely have to follow road rules. The stop signs, the stoplights, you know, we have to get to the flow of traffic. And this is why you want to have your permit, because if you're messing around and you're going super slow or you're running red lights, if there's a cop around, you're gonna get pulled over and be like, hey, what are you doing? So we're going through this corner. I feel pretty good. I'm just gonna go 25. There's no traffic behind me. If there was, I'd increase the speed and shift into third and get to 35. But I have a turn right here, so I'm rolling off my throttle. It's gonna slow down. I'm gonna shift down, apply a little bit of front brake and rear brake at the same time. And I'm comfortable making turns at second gear, so I'm gonna go ahead and make a nice, easy turn. All right, turn off the indicator. And I have to turn left right here. So I'm going to use my left indicator, 15 miles an hour. Not too bad. And we're going to come up to here. And now we're in the parking lot where I do the smart rider drills. And this is a good area to practice all that stuff. So I'm going to turn off my indicator. I'm in first gear. I'm going to shift it into neutral. I'm going to put my side stand down, set it down. Engine shut off just to practice. Turn off the bike battery with the key, and then slide right off. Now, this is all you have to do just to kind of start. So I would pick an area that's within 10 minutes, so you're not overwhelmed with, like, you know, a 30-minute ride. Oh crap, I have to like do this for 30 minutes, because your brain's gonna get tired, especially the first few times, and then you're gonna start making mistakes. So you want to get yourself in a nice, quick, easy 5 to 10 minute ride. Maybe do a 5-minute loop back and forth. And because the only thing that we're practicing at this point is traffic. We're adding some traffic here and there. And if you want to go crazy, go ahead and go during rush hour. But if not, and you only really have the weekend, I would pick something super early in the morning where there's nobody really waking up, and pick a road that is close to the home. Or pick something at a certain time where there's not a lot of traffic. So I'm doing this today. I think it's a Thursday at like 11, where people are still at work and they haven't even left the office to get, you know, food or anything like that. And then that's why I do that, because you minimize how much traffic versus having to go crazy with a lot of traffic. And so we just did that. Now we could stay here in the parking lot and practice our U-turns, or we can keep doing that for a little bit. But we're just gonna go ahead and have some fun on this next lesson. It's a quick one. Just go ahead and practice your plan method and enjoy yourself.